people of Earth are different from us, it's true. But ultimately, I believe that's a good thing. They won't necessarily make the same mistakes we did. Not if you guide them, Cal. Not if you give them hope. Embodied within that hope is the fundamental belief in the potential of every person to be a force for good. That's what you can bring them. You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun, Cal. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
We wanted you to learn what it meant to be human first. So that one day, when the time was right, you could be the bridge between two peoples. Look. You can save all of them.
Let there be light. This is how we are from the future. This is how you will become the light of the world as we invoke the sacred imperative together. Let there be light. 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 And the holy light is with us now. And the angels of the Most High are with us now. And they are cleansing your heart and soul of any darkness, any anger, any frustration, any fury, any outrage, and replacing all of that with the love, fortified with the power of justice. For when love and justice are united in your heart and in your soul, it unleashes a power unstoppable in this world. And now this power of love surges through your heart and extends to every soul you are connected to. And through those souls extends to every soul they are connected to. And you are doing the holy work now of anchoring the holy light and the love of God in this world and in the hearts of all of those whom you touch. Now take a moment and reflect on the world as you would have it be, as you would like to see it. All of the injustice, all of the outrage, all of the violence. It doesn't have to be this way. If we can just call in that holy light to work miracles through us and to bring in the infinite love of our Creator into the world. For what the world needs right now is more love. There's just not enough love to go around, and you are a conduit for that love. And that love can surge through you and bless all of the world. Let there be light.
Good evening, Divine Ones. Welcome. Tonight, we're going to have a jam-packed show for you all right? So tonight, we're going to be revealing the master plan to make America du jour. What do you guys think about that? That's pretty incredible, right? So before we introduce our two guests, I want to give a quick shout out to everybody that's tuning in. I got to give a shout out to the moderators. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here, Divine Women, for always helping out with the platform here. I want to say thank you to Roxana. Thank you for being here. CJ Jean, thank you for being here. Kevin, thank you for being here as well. Tina Colby, thank you. Debbie Stevens, thank you so much for being here. Lisa, thank you. Let's see here. Stacy Maliski, thank you for being here. Wally B, thank you, brother, for being here. Christy Sue, thank you. Stephen Thompson, thank you for being here as well. Oh, let's see. Donna Nurse, thank you for being here. Titus, thank you for being here. Natalie, thank you. Julie Denning, thank you so much for being here. Kim, thank you for being here. Myrna, thank you for being here as well. Chad, thank you for being here. John, thank you for being here. Stacy, thank you for being here as well. So, for those that don't know, we have an amazing, shall we say, event that's happening in the Republic, right? The Republic for the United States, the Re-Inhabited Republic. The premise behind the Re-Inhabited Republic is to help states and the counties become du jour so that those states can be du jour so it can actually be a republic and get out of the de facto governments at all levels of the corporation itself. Now, those that don't know, there's been some really interesting twists, if you will, that have taken place over the last month and a half within the Re-Inhabited Republic's organization. Two of the gentlemen that I have on tonight, Dave Roberts is a constitutional expert who has actually successfully helped guide many counties in setting up the assemblies. And the blueprint that we're going to be looking at tonight is Dave's blueprint that is being used, because we need to actually have a blueprint that guides us so we're all actually on the same page. You see, the national senior leadership within the Re-Inhabited Republic has for months and months put out their version of how we stand up our counties and our states, but they've never given us complete papers. They've never given us a complete guideline. And then they would take it back and give us something else. And it was always in a constant state of disarray and confusion, at the very least. I would say dereliction of duty was actually what was truly taking place. So the first part of tonight's podcast is going to be conducting a PowerPoint presentation for all of you divine ones. And we're going to be rolling out the blueprint, and we're going to make available the PowerPoint itself. And there's a packet that comes along with the PowerPoint. I'm going to take this week and utilize some technology to convert the PowerPoint into video for people that don't know how to utilize PowerPoint presentation. We're going to convert it into a video format for you guys. All right. So that way you guys will have this blueprint, and there should no longer be any confusion amongst the governors, the senators, the Secretary of States. We should all be on the same page, go in the same direction together. There's some big news that's going to be coming forth in the next few days as it relates to the Re-Inhabited Republic. We're going to get into that in the second half after we come back from the intermission part during this podcast. We're going to be coming back and discussing some very important things that you guys need to be aware of in the Re-Inhabited Republic. There's many of you that have been caught up and sadly become cannon fodder. Well, we want to help you guys no longer be in that position. We want to give you guys clear, concise understanding of what is truly happening. Whether you guys want to face it or not, we are going into kingdoms and principalities at some point in time. And making our states and making America du jour is a key pivotal state going into that. All right. So I'm really looking forward to this. Tonight's going to be an amazing show. This is actually history in the making as you're seeing it right now. So what I'm going to do is introduce Dave Roberts, and I'm going to introduce Stacy Allen Pierce. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
You bet. Thank you, Dave, for being here. So, David, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to our audience, and then when you're done, we'll have Stacy introduce himself to the audience, and then we'll dive right into the PowerPoint presentation.
All right. Yeah, very good. Well, I'm Dave Roberts. I'm a advocate for constitutional law, common law, equity, and I got started in 2016 standing up assemblies, starting with Ohio. And we built a state assembly in 22 counties in Ohio. And since then, I've gone out and stood up probably 20 some states and committees across the United States, and using the same process. When everybody works together, pulls their weight, you can have your assembly settled in about 3 weeks. So a little more about myself. I started my journey about 35 years ago. The IRS came in and robbed my bank accounts, and I sued them for grand theft. And in the process of doing that, I learned, and while I was going through the trial, I learned how to remove myself from the federal government, and remove myself from having to pay income taxes. And so I have not paid any income taxes in 35 years, and that includes state and city and county income taxes. I drive my car, my private conveyance, with no plates, no title, and no driver's license. I've done that for the last 3 years. And so I'm not just somebody that talks about what you need to do. I also walk the talk. So that's a little bit about me. So Stacy, your turn.
My name's Stacy Pierce. I've been on this journey for 10 years. I've been studying right next to David regarding assemblies and constitutional law. It's all we've been just working on how to stand up against these corrupt courts. I also do the right to travel process. I'm a part of several different groups that we are out there sharing knowledge and information with the public to get the public up to speed on how to operate as a sovereign man and woman. And that's our initiative.
Love it. I love it. And you brothers are kindred spirits. I mean, we're all kindred spirits here. And guys, not you guys, but the audience anyways, there's some huge news that I can't wait to share with you on the second half of this podcast tonight, because we're going to allow you guys to take a look as to what was happening behind the scenes in the Republic, to why we're at this point where we're at right now, why we're compelled to do what we're doing right now, and you guys don't want to miss this. So we've got some great attendance here right now. So what I'm going to do is bring up the PowerPoint presentation for you all. And what I'm going to do is take us out so that way everybody can see that. And Dave is going to be moderating the PowerPoint presentation, and I'm just going to guide each slide through for him. And this, guys, don't worry about it. Just so you guys, so the audience, you guys need to know, we're going to have this available. So if you guys want this PowerPoint presentation and you want the packet, then you guys actually need to send me an email right here. I'm going to have the email running at the bottom right here on the ticker, and then we'll put you on the directory that we're going to get this sent out to you guys. All right. So Dave, go right ahead, brother.
All right. So we're going to start with the Republic for the United States of America. What is the Committee of Safety / Assembly, and how they work? The Committee of Safety Assembly presentation. And we're going to start with the history. So committees of safety existed prior to 1692. And there was an event that took place in 1692 with the New York Committee of Safety. They came together with a militia over a abuse of authority of the British Crown governor of the colony of New York. And the delegates of the Committee of Safety, selected by the people of that committee, which were delegates, they then formed a common law grand jury and exercised their authority with the people's grand jury and established an indictment, which caused the governor, a crown governor, represented the king, to be imprisoned for 2 years. This is the power of an assembly. So the Committee of Safety were an executive body that governed during adjournments and were created by and derived their authority from provisional assemblies or congresses. Now, these are hyperlinks, which will take you to define what those all meant. So the committees of safety were emergency panels of leading citizens handing down regulations and did other fundamental business prior to the Declaration of Independence of 1776 and the passage of the individual state constitutions. As they assumed power to govern, many of the men that had served on their individual states' Committee of Safety were later delegated for the Continental Congress. So what took place there, and everyone needs to be aware of this, is that we know from history in high school that that the delegates came from the different communities to Philadelphia to represent the Continental Congress. What we didn't know, which was denied us, was that those delegates were dispatched from committees of safety in different communities. All right. So many communities in the U.S. colonies and provinces have, from time to time, exercised their right to self-govern. After the French and Indian Wars, the British Crown increased taxes. And we talked about that in history class upon the colonies, and the committees of safety started to form up in the different communities to resist these taxes. What comes to mind is the Boston Tea Party. So the power of the Committee of Safety is still relevant today and may be used to combat for instance, mandatory masks, which, by the way, in Ohio, the Ohio State General Assembly, that's exactly what we did. We came at them under their oaths of office, under their bonding, and went after the mask mandate, mandatory vaccines, red flag laws, lockdowns, closing of businesses, undue fees and taxes, and acts of tyranny and oppression. Next slide. Okay, here's the concept of what we're currently under right now. So you have the federal government at the top, you have the state government in the middle, and then the local government. But there's no place for the people. And under constitutional law, we have remedy. It says right in there, we have remedy. Yet, there is no remedy in the courts. So this is a centralized government. This is communism. This is an oligarchy, top down to the people. All money flows to the top for the banksters. All orders and operational structure flows down, people without a voice. So next slide. So now we have the concept, which has been with us before the assembly process. The Committee of Safety goes all the way back to the Magna Carta. So the people in each county from a Committee of Safety is at the top. The people become the body sovereign electors, which is like a voters, but they have more power. Delegates elected by the people of the Committee of Safety in the county goes to the state assembly of their state to represent your county at the state level. Now, and then we're going to get into more into this, but your committee of safety dictates what you want at the state level. And your representative is supposed to be there for representing you. And if he does not, this is why this works so well. And this is in alignment with the Constitution. And it's also why our government didn't want this form of government. Is that if your delegate isn't representing you in the manner in which you want, you can bring him home. You don't have to have a revote or recall or any of that stuff. So the assemblies form subcommittees as part of your the committee as a whole, such as correspondence, judicial, militia, education, recruiting. The committees, the county committee of safety, is formed by the delegates, and this is if this happens, because most areas of the United States, you're going to start at the county to form up your committees of safety. But in states like Michigan, they start with townships. So the people that form the committee of safety is at the top of the government, as in this diagram of this pyramid, and townships, parishes, and precincts. And they flow down to the county committee of safety, and then the delegates from the county float to the state, and then the delegates from the state float to the national. So the township committee of safety elect 2 delegates, but that's also optional. It may be 4 delegates, it may be 6 delegates. We don't know yet, and that depends on your state and how you guys design your constitution when you go to have a convention of state. And all the states will be doing that once we go into a full republic. So under the Declaration of Independence, and this is important, all of you must understand this, that to secure these rights, which is life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. The consent of the governed is you. You're the consent. And in a county assembly, your voice, your vote counts. And that's going to regulate how the county is going to conduct themselves according to the rule of law of the people. So where does this consent come from? It comes from we the people acting as one people through the committee of safety. The one people of the committee of safety is the body sovereign electors that appoint their delegates to go to the next level. This gives absolute control over the body politic. Anytime a delegate does not do the bidding of the body sovereign electors, they can require them, the body sovereign electors can require them to return to the committee of safety, and a new delegate is sent in their place. Okay, so this is a trifecta. And in your education from the high school, they told you there was 3 branches of the government. They told you there was the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branches. What they didn't tell you is there's actually 6 branches of the government, 3 of which are in the Bill of Rights. Now, why would the 3 be in the Bill of Rights? Well, they're in the Bill of Rights because they want to empower the people. So the first one being in the First Amendment. They didn't go hide these things. They made it real available. And it's in the First Amendment. And it states that you, the people, have the right to lawfully assemble or peacefully assemble and air your grievances. Okay. The second branch of the government is the militia. And the militia is in the Second Amendment. And then the most powerful enforcement tool that we have in our quiver is the people's grand jury. And the people's grand jury, it's called a common law grand jury, is under the 7th Amendment. Okay. So an unregulated militia as outlined in the Second Amendment, we, the people of these several states, recognize that our heritage is common law, the rule of the mind of our Creator, and our inheritance is liberty. The militia being the sovereign people themselves, the guardians of our Constitution, whose prime directive is to secure the common law and watch for the stealth encroachment upon the fruits of our heritage, being liberty by the grace of God and not man. Now, I'm going to draw you to something. We talk about de jure and we talk about de facto. A de jure government is a government of the republic. Okay, it's by the people, for the people, of the people. The common denominator, common denominator is people. A de facto government is a enemy that had a foreign enemy outside of our established political boundaries, and they have infiltrated into our government and instilled their laws. Now, what is their laws? Their laws are statutes and codes and ordinances and policies, just like we just put up with the last 3 years. So the civil authority is the Committee of Safety, the commander-in-chief of their local militia. The members of the Committee of Safety also make up the unregulated militia of the county. So when you guys get your settlement of your Committee of Safety done, one of the subcommittees is forming a militia. And you want to get that started. That will grow the ranks of your militia or your assembly very quickly. The militia under posse comitatus is sworn in as deputies for the sheriff. So that's something that will come down the road in a later training. I'll explain all that in detail. Okay, People's Grand Jury. A People's Grand Jury, common law grand jury, is found in the 7th Amendment of the Bill of Rights. The People's Common Law Grand Jury is separate from the Article 3 judicial branch of the government. The grand jury, the common law grand jury, is the people's court. It is totally isolated from the judicial court. And under the 7th Amendment, that whatever indictment or presentment that they bring, it has standing in law, and no court of law can overturn it, including the Supreme Court. That's how powerful this is. The People's Grand Jury decision is final and cannot be overturned. The People's Grand Jury is made up of 25 people. You're required to have 25 and at least 2 alternates. After an indictment, which is a true bill, is presented to a justice, in the Republic, we do not have judges. We only have justices who then schedule a trial. And the trial is conducted by a petit jury. That's the name of it. That's what you're used to seeing on television, where they have the 12 in the jury box. That's a petit jury for both civil and criminal. And that's where the defense, the defendant, can present his side of the case and show that he either did or didn't do what was claimed. Next slide. Alexander Hamilton, Federalist Papers, states the fabric of American empire ought to rest on the solid basis of the consent of the people. The stream of national power ought to flow immediately from that pure or original foundation of all legitimate authority. So go back, please. Okay, so right here, Thomas or Alexander Hamilton was stating to the people with this in the Federalist Paper, because I don't know if you guys understand the Federalist Papers, but there was Federalists and Anti-Federalists. And the Anti-Federalists wanted to protect our unalienable rights. And the Federalists, who were primarily bar members, didn't feel that we needed unalienable rights protected in the Constitution. And this is where the Declaration, which was written long before, well, many years before the Constitution was constructed, which stated in there that the consent of the people. So even back then, our founding fathers understood all of this. Next slide.
Dave, if you
Yeah.
don't mind, there are people asking questions. Are you willing to answer some of these questions as we go through these slides?
I'll leave it up to you. If you feel the question is pertinent at the moment, then yes.
Okay. So Titus Rhodes asked, why are we calling the offices with elected representatives government?
I need clarity on this question.
Okay, we'll get back to that. Go ahead, brother.
All right. Some of the powers of the Committee of Safety is to conduct political efforts within the community, join with others in the state to make concerted political efforts, participate in national political efforts, provide educational seminars, meetings, and publish educational information, network with others of like mind around the country, and join together to provide assistance to those members of the local, state, and national community that find themselves in need. Next slide. Provide hubs of communication to investigate wrongdoings of the government within the community and in the surrounding areas. And this is one of the primary functions of a Committee of Safety. Select leadership from those that you know within your community. Send local delegates to state sessions when warranted, and likewise, should a state constitution convention be called, you would send delegates from your Committee of Safety. How to establish the Committee of Safety? A Committee of Safety assembly is an association of people with common interest, goals, and all the Committee of Safety assembly members being equal. This is very important. No one has a greater voice than anyone else in the Committee of Safety. What do you need to know to start one? Historical facts. The Founding Fathers established committees of safety long before the Declaration of Independence was ever written. There was no illegitimate or unlawful aspect to any of the committees of safety assemblies. All committee of safeties are open to all who would wish to join. You cannot exclude anyone other than they are bad character. But if they're not a bad character, you have to allow them to enter the assembly. Even after the Declaration, the British never held the committees for any acts against the Crown. That's very important. That was a very important point. Officers of the committees generally held their office for either 6 months or 1 year, and that's voted on by the assembly as a whole. That's not something made up by an individual. Officers voluntarily step down to allow others to carry out the responsibilities of the office. Everybody gets a turn as an officer, and you want everybody to get a turn as being an officer. Participation in the Committee of Safety. The Committee of Safety, to truly represent the people, must acknowledge that all people have the right to participate in a Republican form of government, guaranteed in Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, which it states, the United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a Republican form of government, Article 4, Section 4. Committee of Safety assemblies, how it functions. Next. The Committee of Safety is the forerunner of the principles used in our current government. This was implemented by the local, state, and national governments. The County Committee of Safety Assembly delegates to its representatives to go to the next level of government and carry with them the will of the people. That's critical. The concept becomes a tool in our effort to return to a constitutional government in self-governance. The government is governed by the people, always derives its authority, power, and source from the people as a whole. All enactments should come from that source, the people. Committee of Safety of the whole is the people. The Committee of Safety Assembly must never operate as a star chamber, an executive authority, a private members association, or a gang, and never as a corporation. Concepts of Committee of Safety continue. With the County Committee of Safety allows for a catalyst to bring together many advocacies groups that would otherwise remain unaffiliated because of the diversity of interests. And to give you an example, in Ohio, we have close to 300 political patriot groups, and yet none of them are unifying. And with the Committee of Safety, if we could reach out to all these groups, we could find common ground for all of them to come into the Committee of Safety and participate. They could still have their groups, but they would then join a lawful organization of the county assembly. The common element is to return of authority to the will of the people, a true republic, which we haven't had for quite a long while. Restoration of the constitutional government is the only common element that is necessary to achieve results affecting the legislature to accomplish those goals. Under what authority to have a county committee of safety? And that authority is derived from the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of 1787. Well, actually, it'd be 1791. We the one people have the right to assemble and redress our grievances in peace. We the one people have the right to hold our public officials accountable, which right now they will not allow us to do that. Open door policy. Members in our County Committee of Safety is intended to be as open as possible to those who seek to participate in achieving the goals of the committee. To accomplish these ends, the following separate conditions are those by which membership shall be attained. 1, each potential member must be an American and must recognize the existence of those separate forms of status. 2, each member acknowledges that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land and limitations on the authority of the United States government. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. The federal government, under Article 1, Section 8, only has 18 enumerated rights. And that's what they're talking about in this slide here, the authority of the United States of America. They have no other rights other than those rights granted to them. Where all rights, where all power, all inherent power lies is with the people. It's always been that way. It's just the government has misdirected you from that information. 3, no member can be excluded from participation unless for cause. 4, each member that holds a title of nobility, U.S. Constitution, 13th Amendment, which include bar attorneys, bankers, active duty law enforcement officers, or any other person who has acquired a position or privilege or honor, which would be included under the intent of that amendment. They have no rights in the assembly. They can attend, provided they act in honor and have not caused harm or trespass. Right there, that alone excludes them. 90% of them gets excluded right there. Upon another man or woman, natural law. Step 1, how to obtain the required number of people for the republic. So if you're involved in the republic right now, in order to stand a state up, any state in the union right now, you need to have 30,000 people able to vote. And the best way to do that is with a county committee of safety. So each state has to have a 30,000 population of people before lawful elections can be held. All states today have this required amount of people because, I mean, like Ohio, we have over 11 million people. So first step to get this to happen is look up, and you have to go, you can Google this or DuckDuckGo or whatever service you use, is to look up how many counties existed at the time just before your state became a state. So if you became a state on January 3rd, 1803, you want to look up the day before that date to see how many counties existed as a territory, the counties of the territories. That's where you start at. So once you have this number of the county established for your state, you're halfway there. Like in Ohio, we were required to have 9 counties. Tennessee, they only need 3. Kentucky, they only need 3. Michigan, they need 35. Pennsylvania needed 19, just to give you an example. Okay. So the minimum number to start an assembly is 5 to 7 people. Next slide. So the Committee of Safety is.
Sorry about that. There we go. Let me go right there. You go.
There, okay, right there. Is that where we need to be?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because we were on this last one, brother.
Yeah, we were right there. Okay. Objectives of the Committee of Safety meeting. Rule: each man, woman invited to invite one new man or woman to the meeting each week forever. This is how you grow your assemblies, is you keep inviting new people into the assembly. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So if you're not growing your assembly, adding new members, you're dying. So as the Committee of Safety grows, the objective is to keep the general meeting within 1 hour. If a topic goes longer than 10 minutes, one of the things you can do is create a subcommittee to research the topic, or you can table it for the next meeting. Those are choices that the assembly votes on. The Committee of Safety will be creating subcommittees to work out details of plans for the growth of your county to present to the body of the assembly as a whole. These subcommittees are for all kinds of subjects, such as correspondence, juror, militia, fundraising, recruiting, education, just to mention a few. Committees of Safety is the forerunner in the principles used in the current government. This is implemented by the local, state, and national governments. The Committees of Safety Assembly delegates its representatives to go to the next level and carry with them the will of the people. Once again, the will of the people. That's the foremost. Next slide. Okay, paperwork. Step 2. So step 1 was getting 3 to 5 people together and agreeing that they want to start an assembly. Step 2 is to do the membership paperwork. And these 3 documents, which is the Declaration of Independence, circa 2020, in your case, it'd be 2025. If assembly starts after 2026, it'll be 2026, etc. The Declaration of Independence of Inborn Power and the Jural Covenant. This is where you take your personal oath and affirmation. Now, hang on a second. ML, do you want to put those papers up, or do you want to do that? Okay. Mel's gonna flash them up on the screen here. All right,
so
here's the Jural Covenant. Yeah, this is the oath for the Jural Covenant of Office. And This here is your Declaration of Unalienable Rights held by inborn power. And then last one is Declaration of Independence circa, and yours would be 2025. Okay. So the membership paperwork is real simple. You're believing in the Declaration of Independence of 1776. The Declaration of Inborn Power is that you believe that you are a member of the society, of your local society. And then the last one is your oath as a member of the assembly to be tapped when asked, and it's still voluntary, it's always voluntary, to be a member of the jural assembly, or I'm sorry, of the grand jury when and if that's ever called upon, and if you would like to participate. That's what that oath is about, being an upstanding citizen, being of sound mind, and acting in honor. And that's basically what that oath is. Next slide. Okay. From 5 people, select 3 officers. This is step 3. So in step 3, you want to elect your officers. And so the first office that you want to fill is the scribe secretary. You want to select first, this being the first position, you want to swear them in. It immediately starts taking the minutes. So when you swear that person in as secretary, they immediately start taking minutes for the meeting. And now that is your first official meeting. Next slide. Okay, the next position you want is a moderator. The moderator runs the meeting, okay? And that's all his job is to facilitate, to put together the agenda for the meeting, and to move the meeting through the agenda as smoothly as possible, and to try to prevent the meeting from getting hung up. And it will get hung up because there'll be debate, there'll be challenges, and etc. And the moderator has to have enough foresight to move the assembly towards conclusion and try to do it inside of an hour. Okay. And in the beginning, you guys are going to go 2 hours, 2.5 hours easy. But as you figure out how to do the job and move the meeting along, you'll slowly get it down to an hour. Usually takes about a year to get it down to about an hour. So how a moderator conducts a meeting. He opens the meeting to address the business of the assembly. The scribe secretary reads the minutes of the last meeting for a vote. The minutes have to be voted on because they're going to be archived. The moderator controls the clock of the speaker, usually try to keep the discussion into 3 minutes. Keeps meeting moving. That's his job. Keep the meeting moving forward. Weekly meetings for at least 1 year. So in order to get your assembly established and settled, you should meet every week. Don't try to go to every other week or once a month until it's been at least 1 year. I strongly suggest that. Robert's Rules of Procedure is is called the Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Procedure. In the starter packet, I send a shorthand version of that rules so that you don't get bogged down, because if you really get into Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Procedure, you'll never get anything done. Seriously, you won't get anything done. So point of order, these are commands or permissions. Point of order, may I yield. Those are usually the common ones that get used in a meeting. And you ask, may I? And you have to wait until the monitor acknowledges you. And then once he acknowledges you, then you can proceed with whatever you wanted to talk about. So you also have a motion to open the meeting with a second. Someone has to second. Prayer, then read the Bivens. The Bivens is a Supreme Court case, and the Bivens is to protect you. It's a firewall, and it needs to be read 3 times. Everything's in threes in common law. And then you address old business. You go into, then you adjourn old business and you get a second, then close with a second. So how to conduct a meeting, continue, Robert's rules. Motion to open with new business, a motion to adjourn with a second, motion to close with a second, and announcement of the next meeting. And that's mandatory. If you do not announce your next meeting, then your Committee of Safety has sin died. That's what happened to our Congress in March 24th, 1861. And then you adjourn the meeting. Next slide. Is there any questions coming up?
Not really.
Okay. The last main position is the bailiff or the master at arms. His that job primarily is to maintain order in the meeting. Some of his duties is to verify the people entering the meeting. We give the bailiff the duty to read the bivens 3 times at all the meetings, and the bailiff does the roll call. So each member invites 1 new member each week. In 30 days, Assembly will have approximately 60 members. Agenda for the meeting for the first month: set up a Committee of Safety, set up, you can use whatever platform you like, but we in Ohio, we use the Telegram channel, and we have a recording channel, document channel, and a open chat, what we call business chat. And the recording room, we put the recording from the Zoom call, because we primarily meet in the counties. You want to try to meet in person, but some people are housebound or whatever the case may be, and we have several members by Zoom. So that goes in the recording room. And then the documents is where the minutes of the meeting goes. Once they're voted on, we publish them in the document room. And then open chat is where the community of the Assembly ask questions, banter, whatever the case may be. So that's the 3 primary rooms for your committee. You can have other rooms. You could have sub chairs. You could create, for the subcommittees, you could create their own channels as well. As Committee of Safety grows, you want to put people to work. So you have 3 officers. You also have, if you have enough people, you want pro tem. Pro tem are your backup officers of the moderator, the scribe, and the bailiff. And so that gives you 6, but you need to put people to work. And if they don't work, you're going to leave your assembly. So start creating chairs. So create a militia. Everybody can join the militia. Everybody can get involved in the militia. Then you have chair for recruiting, because you want to start looking for ways to grow your assembly in community outreach programs. You got, like, for instance, chair of communications. Next slide. So in settlement, all right. So now you're an assembly of a congregation of men and women, and you're growing. So now you have to settle, because you're not a lawful assembly until you come back onto the land, and your assembly has to be on the land. And this is one of those options. So option 1 is 4 or 5 people go to the courthouse steps, and 3 people read each it's called a preamble. Mel, can you pull that up momentarily? Okay. This is the preamble. Okay. It's the front page of your covenant. Okay. So it has the date of the when you establish. It has the other dates of when you read on the courthouse step, and has the date that you started your assembly and the date of settlement. I believe those are the 3 dates. Okay. So you're going to read that preamble, that front page, 3 times, and you're going to do it 3 separate weeks at the same time. So if you guys choose 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday morning, then 3 weeks in a row, you got to do it about the same time. And so everything, like I said, everything's in 3s. So you could have one person read it 3 times, or you can have 3 people read it. And on the back of the preamble, you draw 3 columns. And the first column, you put the date and time, and then everybody that was present signs it. It does not have to be assembly members. It can just be neighbors or friends or spouse, whatever the case may be, as long as you have at least 4 people there. Okay. Yeah, one other point. So that's not on here, is that once you read it the first time, it has to be published on all the post offices in your county. So I suggest that you go to the postmaster at the central post office. That's the only postmaster in your county, because all the other ones are USPS managers. And you get his permission to post them in the post offices. And he'll go and send an email to all the managers telling them that you're going to post this in the post office. And it makes it easier, and you don't get as much fighting from the post office. I mean, we've had managers chase our people out of the buildings already. I don't know what they were thinking, but anyhow. Okay, option 2 is to post the notice, which is the preamble in its entirety, that first page, with no borders around it and no editing, as is, in the local newspaper, in the legal notice section, which a lot of newspapers don't want to do that. And you want to post it for 3 consecutive weeks. And then when it's concluded, you will get an affidavit of publication from the newspaper. And that's your proof of notice. Okay. This is a very expensive way to do it. Next one. And the last option is having a web page, and you create a URL, and on the web page you put the preamble in its entirety to be read. Okay. And same thing, you run this URL and a couple of words, a small paragraph, and it cuts our costs down with the newspaper. And same process as option 2 in the newspaper.
Dave, I have a question about that. So one of the options also be to go to your county's Facebook page and put the announcement there as well?
Providing you have a county Facebook page.
But that could be another option, correct?
Yeah,
that would be more affordable for people.
That's another option, yeah.
Okay.
But you would have to circulate it, so every week you would have to repost.
Donna has a question. She's asking, after reading preamble, do we sign first and middle name or first and last name?
Excellent question. You sign first and middle. The last name is not yours. It belongs to your tribe. But once again, that's something your assembly votes on. Okay. In Ohio, we vote on first and middle name, no last name. That's what we do in Ohio. Okay. Step 4. In the meantime, while you're going through this 3-week process, and it's actually not 3 weeks because I had it explained to me, if you start the day that you do the reading, and then the next week is the second week, and then the following week is actually, that's not the second week, that's be the first 1 week later. So you could have it done in roughly 2 weeks. In about 14 to 17 days, you could have your assembly, the reading, the announcement done. Okay. But in that process, that time loop, you want to create a seal, an embossing seal. They cost, if you get a basic one with no fancy graphics or anything, you can get them for around $35 to $45, right in that range. And what I suggest is you have an outer ring, an inner ring, and Truth Social page. I don't even know what.
There's a lady, Debbie, in California. They're posting their notices on their Truth Social page rather than Facebook.
Okay. I don't know what that is, but okay. So on the seal, they usually have an outer ring and an inner ring and then a center. And on the upper outer ring, you want to put Polk County Committee of Safety. And on the bottom, you want to put Polk County, Iowa. That's an example. And then on in the center, you want to put the date of your creation, the first date that you met as an assembly. That's the date you want to be in the center. And then you could do whatever you want in the middle, in the inner ring. You could, give me liberty, give me death. You can put a Latin slogan in there, whatever you wanted to do in the inner ring. That would be up to you. Okay. What you want to do, the second thing you want to do, that's an example of the seal. The second thing you want to do is you want to create your covenant. It's 11-page document. And so you want to go in and make that yours. And how I mean by make it yours is that there's red for state and red for county. You fill those in with your county and with your state. And you go through the 11 pages and you do that. Near the back page is the signature page. And there's only 2 signatures. Don't worry about all the other lines for commissioner and for the juror commissioner and for the foreman and for the justices. Don't worry about all that because you don't have those things. You don't have those positions filled. But you do have a moderator and you do have a secretary. So your moderator and your secretary signs it. Okay. So you make up 4 originals. And when you get your seal with the foil, you emboss the page on the right side of the page with the county seal. All right. And then if you guys want, and which you should want, is any member of the assembly wants to sign that document because that you're making history, just like the Declaration of Independence. So if you guys want to sign it on a sheet on the back, you can do that. Not on the back, but a blank sheet attached. So it'd end up being 12 pages. And you could have your signature page, and all of you who want to sign it can sign it. And now there's a process where you can send it to the Secretary of State of the Republic, not the de facto. and you send all 4 copies. And he or she will put the Secretary of State's stamp on it. And she will mail 3 of those back. She'll keep 1 and mail 3 back. Now, when you get the 3 back, you want to put 1 of these. Let's see. Yeah, you want to hold 1, and you want to take 2 of them down to the recorder's office, the county court recorder's office, and you want to record this recording, and you want to file it, or you want it recorded under miscellaneous. Do not say filing, because if you say filing, that means something totally different. You want to say record. I want to record this in miscellaneous filing. And once it's recorded, they're going to do an entry stamp on both copies. And they're going to hand you back a copy, and they're going to keep a copy. All right. Now you find out when that's going to be recorded in the archives of the county courthouse. And it may be the next day, it may be, 72 hours, depends. Each court's a little different. But as soon as that's done, you go down and you get 2 certified copies. And that'll have the county seal on all the paper. On every page, they'll have the county seal. Now you're ready to go to the county commissioner's office. And I think that's on the next slide.
Okay, so we got a couple questions. One question is, Anthony M., of the 3 options for county settlement, which method has been most used by other counties?
The courthouse steps. Only because of the cost.
Okay. Also, I have another question. Please ask if it's important for assemblies to use their own words and not templates like forms in maritime commerce to establish their assemblies with proper papers, not documents.
Okay. This paperwork has been tested time for all the way back to 2009. And it's been, the military's looked at it. It's been stood the test of time in before hundreds of committees hundreds of court recorders, and it stands. So if you don't like the verbiage, the only thing I can tell you is tell me the last time you rewrote the Declaration of Independence.
Okay. Now I got a couple questions. This comes from Ali, the senator, fellow senator from New Mexico. She asked, 1, which documents have to be exactly as you presented them to us? I'm assuming it is the 1, Declaration of Independence circa 2025, Declaration of Inalienable Rights, and Jural Covenant of Office. Well, we already covered that, so she's right on that. 2, are the bylaws, the bilateral social compact, and the county settlement contract changeable? In some cases, there is wording for COVID. Can we take that out? In other cases, because we have indigenous people in our counties, can we add the term indigenous people to the contract, i.e., men and women and indigenous people? In other words, can we change these documents to fit our county needs? And is there any wording in these documents that need to stay exactly the same?
Okay. You asked me 3 separate pieces of paper, 3 separate documents. Let's start with the county covenant. There should be no real reason to change any of the verbiage in the county covenant. All right.
Okay.
Now, the bylaws, those are yours. Those are the counties. They do what they wish with the bylaws. The template's only a guide. That's all it is. It's an example. But you can do what you want with it. The bilateral social compact, that's also yours. And that's a template. the one Sandy Marecki sent out, that was a creation by Geiger, and that's what Geiger wants. I don't agree with anything that Geiger puts out, but that's your choice as an assembly. If you want, the bilateral social compact is yours to do as you wish. The state of Ohio has, I think, 35 articles in it. And yeah, it does have stuff about COVID. And but the bilateral social compact is amendable. And it applies to anyone who wishes to sign it. And if they wish to sign it, at the time they go to sign it, if there was something that they want to amend in it, and the assembly's in agreement, it can be amended. That's what's nice about the bilateral social compact.
Great. Thank you, Dave.
It is not set in stone. That's your community agreement, and we're going to get into that here in a minute, the outline of the bilateral social compact. So.
Okay. I've moved on to step 4 for you.
Oh, okay. So this is okay. Once you get the county certified copies, you should have 2, one for your record and one to be presented at the county commissioners meeting. And we're finding out across the country that some counties do not have public hearings, which is, I don't understand that at all. That's a total, complete violation of law. So anyhow, usually in a public forum for the county commissioners, they open the floor up for the public to speak. And they usually only give you 3 minutes. And the bylaw can be read from top to bottom in 3 minutes. But what we have found, and there's a video out under awaken and unite.com. Go to Republic and then scroll down to how to start a lawful assembly. There's an example. Amanda, the creator of the video, she did a prayer just before she went up and gave a prayer, and then she read the first part of the bilateral, or the read the first part of the preamble, and then there was another person came in and read the second part of the preamble, and then they had a third person do the presentment. So however you guys want to do it, Pennsylvania in Lancaster, they had 5 people read the preamble. They did a prayer, and then they broke it down so 4 people got to read the preamble. So that's up to you guys how many people you want involved in the party, but it should be a party and it should be fun. You're making history. And then so you do we'll say 3 people, one person gives a prayer, then the second person reads half the preamble, the third person completes it, and then you then hand them a certified copy, county recorded, to the county commissioners. And then you turn and face the audience, not the county commissioners. You face the audience and you state that your county is now de jure on the land. And you have just settled your county, and now you're one step closer to having your state be de jure. Any questions? I should have some questions right here.
Yep, I got one here for you. This is Debbie Foley from California. I think she's Secretary of State. On the bylaws and bilateral social contract, why are interim placeholders doing any of this? Isn't this something the elected officials will do once we have lawful elections?
Okay, back up. You don't have a contract. It's a compact. It's a bilateral social compact. I suggest you read The Law of Nations by Emerit Vattel, 1756. Okay, put the question back up, please. Why are interim placeholders doing any? Okay, All right.
know why
Debbie?
interim placeholders are doing anything.
Okay, I got it. Debbie, the assemblies are not part of the Republic government. This is a misnomer created by Sandy Marecki. You guys are independent. You are self-governed. I'll repeat that. You are self-governed. And there is nobody over you. There's no oversight. There is no control. There is nothing. You are the law, basically. As long as you are under the law of God and Constitution. And now we'll get into one other thing. There's only 2 laws. Everything else is not a law. Everything else is a statute. Statute is color of law. And the 2 laws are do no harm and do not trespass on another man or woman. That's the only 2 laws there is. So if you don't trespass and you don't harm another man or woman, you haven't broken any law as long as you have not violated the law of the Constitution. Okay, now there was one other part to her question. Mel. Hey, Mel.
Are you ready to move forward to the next slide?
Yeah, what was she had a third part of her question.
Oh, she just wanted to know, isn't this something elected officials will do? Yeah.
No, well, they are elected officials of the assembly, not elected officials of the Republic. 2 separate entities. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay. You having technical, Kevin, having technical, you're looking at each other.
Yeah, there was more to it than that.
Well, yeah, we're closing in. I think we're around slide 30. His clock's still clicking. Huh. We're still live.
ML?
Nope, I didn't get any email or text.
I text him.
Laura says she can still hear me. Outrageous, Laura. Love you, girl. Yep. I don't know. We lost MF.
No, let me try and switch over here real quick. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. We had really going here.
We're putting out too much good information. They're interfering with us. I think he froze up again.
Christina Otto from Pennsylvania says, I need to entertain him. You guys are funny.
What page were we on, Dave? 30. Okay, we were on page 35. I've got it up on my screen. I can read it, but they can't see it. If we want to just keep going.
Yeah, I can. No, we're past 35. We're at
38. Step 4 continued. County Settlement Covenant Preamble. Covers filing it with the county recorder.
All right.
Pushback.
All right. Dave, do you remember which slide we were on there?
38.
I think we were finishing
38.
up. Yeah, we just finished up 37. We're on 38. Step 4,
All
County
right.
Settlement
My
Covenant.
apologies. All right.
Preamble continued. Oh, you're back? All right.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay. Local county recorder, if pushback, you file in another county. Pennsylvania had to do that. They couldn't file in Lancaster, so they went to another county, I believe just one county over, and they were able to do that. Okay, this last point is very, very, very important. Maxim of law. You must give notice. You must express your intent. If you do not express, then you are not a lawful assembly. So these last two steps on page 37 or slide 37, 38 are paramount. That's all part of the settlement of the announcement of the notice that you're giving to the public. That's why if you're going to do the courthouse steps, that's why you want to put the preamble up in the post office, because you're informing the general public of what it is that you, the people, the sovereign electors of your county, is trying to do, is to bring back the republic, the local republic, onto the land of your county. So a maxim of law, if you don't express it, it does not exist. Next slide. Okay. Bylaws of the assembly. This document is done in Ohio. We do it in purple and we sign in purple, but that is an option that all of you make. That's a choice that you make in your committee of safety. If you want purple ink as a sovereign, or if you want blue ink as a It has to be blue or purple. It cannot be black. Don't ever use black. Black is dead. Okay. You can invoke the Universal Postal Union with canceled stamps on the back, bottom right corner, autographed through the stamp from left to right at a 45-degree angle with a red thumbprint over the stamp and name by the creator of the document. The creator of the document will be primarily be the scribe or the secretary. All the above is by a vote of the Committee of Safety. The settlement of county will take approximately 3 weeks. It can take longer. I have Shreveport, Louisiana. They're now going on their second year, and they still have not finished settlement. So they got hung up, and it hasn't been completed. So bylaws will take approximately 3 to 5. Yeah, it depends on to set up the Committee of Safety. When you guys get to the point of going into your bylaws, spend some time with that. Okay, because that's the rules that you're going to operate your assembly by. That's the rules everybody's got to abide by. And I included in the starter package an example of bylaws, but it's just a bare bone example. So, but on the other hand, don't get caught up on like ink. We spent almost a month trying to decide if we're going to use blue ink or purple ink. And they got caught up in the discussion, and I finally said, enough's enough. You guys got to move on, make a decision. So, and that's the job of your moderator, not to allow you guys to get bogged down. So, okay. Thank you, Clyde. Where am I at?
Next slide.
Wait a minute. Did I do all this? Not yet. These are,
Okay.
that I was
Yep.
there. Go to the next slide.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. These are agreed upon by the Committee of Safety as a whole. These are the rules and procedures of how the County Committee of Safety is to operate. To join together as a people which propose is, in effect, the course and destiny of our lives, and to actively pursue the end. Bylaws by which the County Committee of Safety does operate by. Okay. But it has to be all of you in agreement. It can't be just the leaders, like the central leadership can't be. It's got to be everybody. It's got to be all inclusive. Okay. Number 6, the bilateral social compact. A bilateral social compact names and claims rights of the people. Naming these rights is a metaphysical important step in reclaiming them and standing in our creator-given position at the top of the hierarchy of power, below only to creator. A metaphysical important step in rescinding any ways we may have been manipulated into consenting to giving away our creator-given authority to govern ourselves. That's the primary goal of a bilateral social compact. On paper, the bilateral social compact is an agreement between living men and women that are one people, a body politic based on the land and rules by no man, woman, or system such as statutes, codes outside of ourselves. Next slide. In practice, the bilateral social compact is only as powerful as the degree to which we are collectively embodying it as a body politic, which has many layers to it. In order to realize the true power of this social compact, it will take not, that's got to be corrected, just thousands of signatories on paper, but a tipping point of those living on the land of our country and our state and beyond. But one step at a time, to know thyself, as it were, to live in integrity and harmony with self, other, the natural world, and the common law, natural law, and God's law. This is an agreement between men and women for your committee of safety, for the people of your community. Make it fit the needs of your county community. Approximately 2 months to create. Next slide. Step 7, common law grand jury. Now, this will take a while. Ohio State General Assembly still does not have a common law grand jury yet. We're working on it. We're going through the educational process. So a common law grand jury falls under the 7th Amendment. You start out by picking a foreman for the grand jury. This term is a 3-year term. The replacement is appointed at the start of the 3rd year of the previous foreman's appointed 3-year term. So how this works is after the first foreman, the next foreman he comes in and he works with the current foreman for 1 year, and then that foreman leaves, and then he's on his own for 1 year, and then he's starting his 3rd term. They bring in another person, which is then his apprentice. So you have this overlapping so that everybody that chooses to be a foreman learns the job before he has to do the job. So the grand jury is made up of 25 members. There are 4 investigators inside the 25. 21 of the 25 jurors are only known to the foreman until a indictment comes down, and then we have to because under the 5th Amendment you have the right to know your accusers. So elected justices for the county, there's supposed to be 4 per county, and elect a county common law grand jury commissioner he serves a 1-year term. And then there's also peripheral. You need a recorder. You need a librarian. These are all jobs to support the grand jury, and it all has to be documented, and all that has to be put into place. So it's not something that you can take on, like right out of the gate. There's a large learning curve. The Committee of Safety are all about the people's self-governance and are their power, not their government. All is by consent of the governed. All governance is by, for, and of the people. Next slide. Per the county covenant, the state Committee of Safety can start the process to rewrite state constitutional covenant per the county's authority. I think that's the last slide.
Yep, that's the last slide.
Okay.
All right. So one question that's always been brought up is people want to know what the difference between state nationals and nation states. And are we supposed to be involved in one or the other? And I know you've addressed this in the past with other groups, but people need to know this right now. Could you clarify for that, Dave?
Yeah. Okay. State national is a title. Stacy can even answer this question.
Okay.
It's a process primarily started by Anna von Ritz. There's American Inactions are now doing it, and David Strait, Bobby Lawrence all got into that status correction. And the thing is, it's a divergent. We're trying to form a republic. We're trying to move forward in a republic, and those are divergence, moving you away from the goal, which is to stand up a republic. And it's not needed. You don't need it, because in the statutes at large, it already states that you're an American. If you're born on the land in this country, you're an American. And to do anything other than that is double-minded. And the courts realize that. And that's why they laugh at you when you bring your paperwork into the court. Kind of double-minded there, aren't you, boy? So to speak. So now, what was the other? That's a state national. What the other one was? What state?
What's the difference between state national and nation states?
Okay, state national is an individual that makes a claim to be a state national. A nation state, all right, all of you guys got to get this because the senior leadership has not got this right. A state is a district, a province, or a whatever of a nation. Okay? That's not what we are. We don't want to be federalized. We want to be confederate. We want to be of a confederacy, not of a federation. A federation works for King George. A confederation works for all of us independently, self-governed. A nation state is a state like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Mississippi, whatever the case may be, but it is sovereign unto itself. It's its own country. Not part of the United States of America. It is its own country in union, in perpetual union with all the other states in agreement and allowing to give up part of its sovereignty so the federal government can operate under the 18 enumerated rights granted to the federal government, such as central post office, such as coining and minting money, such as controlling commerce and not commerce, but trade, intertrade like the interstate route and the postal roads, and then also controlling world tariffs where trade's coming in and out of the United States. And those are all good goals. But we don't want the federal government. I'm going to get into a little bit of history here. I mean, they needed to do some adjustments. They needed to do some growing, but there really wasn't anything wrong with it. The problem was that King George could not allow the Confederation to exist because they put the federal government in a little teeny box. And King George could not allow that because he could not do what he wanted to do. And what did he want to do? What we got today. We got this big, huge monstrosity of a centralized federal government. And that's not what we want. It never was what we want. But it was what King George wanted and what the international bankers wanted and what the Vatican wanted. So we all were nation states in the beginning. We were all nation states in the beginning. The flag of your state used to fly above the federal flag. After the Civil War, all flags flew below the federal flag because you were federalized. And Stacy, you want to add to that? You're muted, guy.
You gotta unmute yourself, buddy.
I think you explained it quite well. I don't have much to add to that.
Okay, let's dive in here. Well,
go ahead.
Let's dive in. Yeah, we want to dive in here because we got to clarify some things here for anybody that doesn't know. So, Re-Inhabited Republic. We had an amazing conversation, and Tim Turner, the first president of the Republic and the Attorney General who resigned a couple weeks ago, clarified and dropped the bomb on everybody. And it was simply this. When he helped reestablish the Republic, there was no Northwest Ordinance utilized as a model in the original Re-Inhabited Republic organization. None. Wasn't there. There was no one stat 50. It didn't exist. And it wasn't until 2015, after Tim was already imprisoned, that President Geiger, I don't even want to use that term president, James Geiger, took advantage of a situation and inserted the Northwest Ordinance as the model in which the Re-Inhabited Republic would derive their authority to run the program, giving him absolute authority in his mind. And it was never even voted on because there was no Congress to convene to vote it in, to make it official. So what do you have to say about that, Dave?
Okay. I've done, in the last 3 weeks, I've done a serious deep dive on one statute 50. It took me over a week just to find it, because I was in congressional records. I was in, I was digging everywhere. The only place I didn't look was statutes at large. And oh, behold, it's in statute at large. But the thing is that there's a court case, Supreme Court case, and the senior leadership keeps beating on it as justification for their cause, which is funny as hell, because, and it's, what is it? Stratton versus Graham. I believe that's
Yes. Yep.
Stratton versus Graham. And when you read the court case, which I suggest all of you do, it said that when the Constitution was created in 1787, the Northwest Ordinance was suspended. And they did move some things from the Northwest Ordinance into the Constitution, like all states come on equal footing, and all territories are bound under constitutional law, things of that nature. But they moved those provisions into the Constitution. And when they did that, the Northwest Ordinance ceased to exist. So it also says that the Northwest Ordinance has no standing. I mean, this is in law, in the Supreme Court law, especially on point 97. It's very clear in point 97 that they can't rule, and therefore the one statute 50 has no bearing at that point.
Correct. Yep.
So,
well, this is the argument that the senior national leadership makes, specifically Sandy Marecki, because she's the public relations liaison, onboarding infiltrator. Okay, I'll just say it like that, right? So she's the one that actually is sitting there stating that that there was a Senate, because it says very clearly there in 1 Stat 50 that the president cannot remove any officers or their oath without the consent of the Congress, which means the Congress assembled. It doesn't mean one senator or two senators. It means the assembled quorum of the Senate. He cannot do that. It's very clear.
well, something else here that is the elephant in the room that's being totally ignored is the law of the Constitution. And inside the law of the Constitution is the Bill of Rights. And in the Bill of Rights is the Fifth Amendment. And for the interim president, James Buchanan Geiger, to remove anybody from a position, he has to have just cause. And an opinion is not just cause. He has to form a grand jury. He's got to bring it out an indictment, and he's got to present a presentment. He can't just say, you're out because you don't agree with me. I mean, I thought we had a republic, by the people, for the people, under the consent of the governed.
Correct.
Where is all that? I'm confused. I'm missing all of that.
Yeah,
let's address
out the window.
Yeah, thank you, Stacy. No due process, no ability to address our accusers in any way, shape, or form, right? So they use the Constitution in one manner to benefit them, but when it benefits us, the oppressors, or those that have been oppressed, it's not good. It's not beneficial. But what's fascinating is last week, there were two famous influencers, Scott McKay, SG Anon, who Sandy Marecki, the one with Scott McKay was aired last weekend. It was an absolute train wreck because she lied her ass off in that show so many times. It's unreal. And I know for a fact that Scott has had communication with Tim Turner and other individuals in the Republic, and he told them the absolute truth of everything that was going on. Specifically this. That show was recorded last Friday. Scott McKay asked Sandy during that show, when was the last time you spoke to Tim Turner? She said an hour ago or that morning. That's a bald-faced lie. Tim Turner hadn't spoken to Sandy for almost a week prior to that. And that was in and of itself just a lie, on top of the fact that the military is working with Geiger and Sandy and the senior leadership of the Republic, the Re-Inhabited Republic, which is an absolute another lie. The only individual that's had any contact with the military has been Timothy Turner, period. Said and done. And so when you have the man who signs a resignation letter 2 weeks ago, and he leaves the Republic citing his reasons, the health reason is just a minuscule one. It's a serious one, but it's a minuscule compared to the other two. He laid it out there as to why he resigned from the Republic, right? So you have the two influencers who now know for a fact that Sandy Marecki has bold-faced lied to them and to their audiences. How can they expect the national senior leadership? How could they expect no blowback to happen, knowing that those are coming out? What do you think about that?
I think they set themselves up. We, the people of this lawful republic, instead of reacting to everything they're doing, we've just put our heads to the grindstone. We've come together as a collective. We've created this PowerPoint. We've reached out to other men and women across the country. We're coming together collectively to do what's right for this republic. We've let them destroy themselves. They're the ones doing all the attacking. Not one of us has attacked them. All we've done was ask questions, and we were told to shut up and get in line. And myself personally, I'm a free man. I'm a sovereign, and don't tell me what I can and can't do, because as my king of my own kingdom, I'm going to do what is right for me. And as long as I'm not stepping on somebody else with a harm or trespass, I should be able to ask questions. If you can't have a debate to get answers or clarity or transparency, that's just telling you that they're trying to operate as a corporate state, and all their documents they've created are pretty much written that way. And to top it off, they throw an NDA in there. Just blows my mind.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want to make a comment. There's a document that Sandy Marecki issued to all the Republic people, public members, that to form a committee of safety, you had to sign this document or you weren't allowed to vote. I want to tell you guys, that is nothing but unadulterated fraud. The Assembly is an independent organization, an independent branch of the government. It does not answer to the National Republic. Does not. Never will be. Matter of fact, the Assembly doesn't even answer to the state government. If the state government wants to know something, they need to come down to the Assembly and ask them their permission. I mean, we're flipping. You guys are at the top. The only person that, the only entity above you is the creator. Then it's you, the man, the woman. Everything else underneath that, any law that's created is a violation if it isn't in accord with you. And that's where they confused you and put you underneath the government by giving you a title. And you guys accept them all the time. There's thousands of them, and you accept every one of them.
Yep. So it's my understanding that there are states, leaders in the states, that are frustrated with the national senior leadership, and that there very well could be some backlash here. There very well could be states, because I'm to understand that there are a group of states that are seriously considering, resigning from the leadership of the Re-Inhabited Republic, not resigning from the Republic, but resigning from being under the senior leadership of the Republic itself, because they've lost faith in the senior leadership. And I know that's growing, and I know it's growing as well. So we choose to stand in honor. We choose to stand in complete transparency and light. And that's why we're continuing forward in the work in teaching the states and the counties how to stand up their assemblies to become de jure, because we know at some point in time, this is just a stepping stone, that at some point in time, we're going to be transitioning into kingdoms and principalities. I mean, you have to be blind, right, not to see what's coming down the road here, just by what Mr. Trump is creating and setting up and establishing on top of that, too. I mean, what do you guys think in regards to the kingdoms of principalities theory and concept as a way of sovereignment replacing government?
Oh, absolutely. We're all ascending back to the Garden of Eden. And Garden of Eden is the whole planet, and we're ascending back to that realm of reality. And this is just one of those steps in us getting to that final destination.
And like you were saying, Trump is putting it right out in front of us. Canada, Mexico, South America, Greenland, Australia, all becoming part of the United States of America. Russia's going to take a bunch of territories back. It's all going to go back to kingdoms, which if you go back in history, the Tartarian area, that's what it was. It was all kingdoms. Mm-hmm. We're not going to have a president. It's going to be leaders of the free people.
Yeah, something that's also happened, within today is, for anybody that doesn't know, there's been a big purge that has happened with senators, governors, secretary of states from the national senior leadership level. And pretty much we're all being told, as they sent us these PDFs, that we're being released of our duties for lack of ability to fulfill our duties as such office holders, which is absolutely bold-faced lies, of course. But it's my understanding that leadership within the Senate has reached out to Tim Turner and has invited Tim, to converse. And in the same token, all of us senators who have been purged have been also invited to attend and witness a conversation, which I think is a great step in the right direction. Honestly, it shows me that at least some of the individuals that I've had dialogue with on, that have been bashing me, calling me a secret practicing Mason with you, Dave, trying to take down this organization this whole time, and that I'm an infiltrator, right? But anyways, they're seeing the light. They're seeing that those are not true. They've said some horrific things about Tim Turner, the national senior leadership. It's appalling that they've said some horrific things about Tim, about his character, that he's possessed, that he's lost his ever-loving mind, just stupid, crazy stuff. But some of the good, faithful men and women who've been here since day one knows that's not true. So they are reaching out and trying to bridge and have some type of dialogue. So I'm looking forward to us attending that Senate meeting, and I look forward to us coming back together again as a unified body and creating a quorum so that we can actually do something beneficial for this republic itself. But I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'm at least open. I'm not completely shutting that door with these individuals.
When is that meeting, Mel? Is that on Monday night?
That's going to be tomorrow night. Yes. I'm not sure what time or anything like that. I don't have that information as of yet. I was just informed of that a little bit ago. But again, I know that there's a lot of frustration out there, rightfully so. And as they say, time is on the side of truth, always. And truth comes out no matter what. So, but we can wind it down here. We've been here for a couple hours. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Thank you, Dave, for sharing this blueprint of the assemblies with us. As I said, I will share that PowerPoint with those who want it. I'm going to convert it into a video format so it'll be easier for people to watch who don't know how to utilize PowerPoint, as well as the packet of information, the documents that go with this presentation. You guys got to have that too, so it'll give you a guideline. So if you guys send me an email, and here I'll get that email set up again here scrolling at the bottom, just send it there. And this week, we'll get that information sent out to you guys. Now, we are working on a website, a centralized website, that we can put this information on, the packet on, so that way when you click on the PowerPoint, there are hyperlinks embedded in there that'll take you straight to the specific documents. But that's not up, ready, and available yet. But that is coming, too. So,
before we sign off, Mel, I want to give a shout out to Lisa Purdy for her amazing talent. She worked with me for 2 weeks. Dave helped as well, doing editing to create this PowerPoint. I just want to shout out to her for all her efforts.
Yes, Lisa, thank you so much. I also need to make this very abundantly clear for everybody. There is no Republic 2.0. There is nothing being created, and everybody needs to know that Tim is not leading this movement. He's asked to consult within the movement of we the people. So he's not a leader here. He's not working in any official capacity at all. Period. Tim has resigned, and he says he's not coming back in, but he's here to help and guide people. But he's not here to lead anybody in this movement at all. So I just needed to make that abundantly clear to everybody that he's not going to step in and do anything like that at all. So I just had to put that out there to clarify, so that way people aren't confused about that too. Okay, do you guys have any final things you want to say before we close down?
Well, I thank you for the opportunity to come and make a presentment, and I'm here for anyone. My door's open. If you have any questions about assemblies, common law, constitution, what is a real republic, I'm here to consult, to assist anyone. So I thank you guys, all of you.
Appreciate that. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. And next week, Dave and I are going to be here. Stacy will be here with us as well. My apologies. We'll be here again next Sunday as well for probably part 2. And we're going to have a lot more enlightening information that we're going to share with you guys. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a great night. Take care. Keep your powder dry, as always.